morphology and function of plastid. Now, when they divide by the process of binary fission, जब इस तरीके से वो डिवाइड करते हैं तो वो कुछ भिन्न भिन्न प्रकार के प्लास्टिडों में डिवाइड हो जाते हैं. जैसे कि पहला है ETIOPLAST is basically colorless plastid. It is a colorless plastid. Photosynthesis. They contain it is also responsible for plant immune system. But the real now they get converted into the process of photosynthesis because of aging. So it happens over here also. यहाँ पे भी RUBISCO protein. Once you people go through my videos of 20 to 15 minutes, I'm making sure that it's not more than that, because 20 to 15 minutes of short video will help you in cracking most of the competitive exams. And this will.
Hello everyone, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, the Future Synthesis Academy. First of all, I would like to thank each and everyone who is watching my video and who are answering the questions. Now in this video also, I will be answering questions related to the previous video. Now in today's topic, I will be basically discussing the morphology and function of plastid. तो चलिए फिर से आरंभ से प्रारंभ करते हैं. So basically the plastid came into existence in my previous video. I had already talked about the existence of the chloroplast, and in that I discussed about the serial and the symbiotic theory, in which the existence of the chloroplast was very much related to the cyanobacteria, gram-negative bacteria, and the existence of the mitochondria was basically related to the ancestor of pre-mitochondrion, which was an aerobic alpha proteobacteria. So in today's video, I will be basically discussing plastid. Now plastid came into the existence from protoplastid. Now protoplastid basically divides by binary fission. Protoplastid divides by binary fission. Now when they divide by the process of binary fission, जब इस तरीके से वो डिवाइड करते हैं तो वो कुछ भिन्न भिन्न प्रकार के प्लास्टिडों में डिवाइड हो जाते हैं. जैसे कि पहला है, one is ETIOPLAST. Now the ETIOPLAST is basically a colorless plastid. It is a colorless plastid, and this plastid this is not exposed to sunlight, so that's why they are in colorless state. The second one is basically the most important, where our this whole photosynthesis depends, is the chloroplast. Now the chloroplast are basically the main organelle which is involved in the photosynthesis. They contain the green color chlorophyll, and they also contain carotenoids. Now carotenoids are basically they are tetraterpenoids in nature, and this chloroplast is really important to perform the photosynthesis, because this has the ability to quench the atmospheric carbon dioxide, utilize that in making organic compounds in the cell. Now this chloroplast basically has the ability to also balance the carbon dioxide and oxygen ratio, because the limit of the extra amount of CO2, if it is 0.3% in the atmosphere, and if it goes above this extra amount of CO2 is basically lethal for the living organism. So this chloroplast basically performs a lot of function. It also performs the amino acid synthesis. It also performs the fatty acid metabolism. It is also responsible for plant immune system. Basically, whenever a plant get infected, it has been seen that the chloroplast is basically unregulated or deregulated, because the growth of the chloroplast, the growth of the plant is actually dependent upon the amount of the photosynthesis performed by the chloroplast. Now what happens that the another kind of plastid, which basically comes from the binary fission of the protoplast, is chromoplast. Chromoplast. Now we all know that the chromoplasts are basically colored plastid. They are colored plastid. But the real fact is that the chloroplast get converted into chromoplast, and this happens because the chromoplast basically provides the beautiful color, because of which the pollinating agent comes and do the pollination. So it is the chloroplast which get converted into the chromoplast. And then there is another kind of conversion which happens in the chloroplast. They get converted into gerontoplast. Now they get converted into gerontoplast is another kind of mechanism when the actual metabolic process to perform the photosynthesis is basically reduced, and a lot of plastoglobulins get accumulated in the chloroplast, and basically they are not able to perform the fundamental process of the photosynthesis because of aging. So it happens over here also. यहाँ पे भी ये होता है कि ये एजिंग के वजह से इनकी मेटाबॉलिक एक्टिविटी स्लो हो जाती है, जिसके वजह से ये कन्वर्ट हो जाते हैं जेरेंटोप्लास्ट में. नाउ द fourth kind of plastid, which is really important and which has further division, is leucoplast. Now we all know that leucoplast is basically a colorless plastid. But this is also known as the plastid for storage. Now this is really important. Now not only this, every plastid is important, but this leucoplast is really important, because this leucoplast itself get bifurcated into three types of plastid. Now the three type of plastid is basically the three type of plastid which is related to the leucoplast is nothing but amyloplast, where storage of starch happens, and this amyloplast is also responsible for detection of the gravity, means in terms of periodism, detecting the periodism of the gravity, like the leaf basically involves or performs the phenomena of photosynthesis by photoperiodism, detecting the light. In that way the amyloplast also detects gravity. Now the another kind of plastid which is basically related to the leucoplast is ELIAOPLAST. ELIAOPLAST. Now in ELIAOPLAST, basically storage of fat happens. Storage of fat happens. Now the last kind of plastid, which is basically divided or formed from leucoplast, is PROTEINOPLAST. Which basically stores protein. So the very vital type of plastid, which is basically performs the process of photosynthesis, is none than the less the chloroplast. And the very important fact about the chloroplast is that they kind of move in the cytoplasm by the process of cytoplasmic streaming, and also they move in the cytoplasm by detecting the sunlight. Wherever the sunlight rays are falling in terms of the wavelength of the light, they move in that part of the cell. And the another important phenomena which is performed by chloroplast is immune system, which I basically mentioned that it regulates the immune system of the plant. Now the first person who basically gave the term plastid is none than the less Ernest Haeckel. He gave the term plastid. Ernest Haeckel was basically responsible, and he gave the name plastid. And the chloroplast, basically the first genomic sequence of the chloroplast DNA, because we know that the chloroplast contain its own DNA and 70S ribosome. The chloroplast basically contains its own DNA and 70S ribosome. Now, because of the presence of its own DNA in 70S ribosome, it is basically able to perform the replication mechanism, the transcription mechanism, and the 70S is there, and it is basically able to perform the translation mechanism. But the chloroplast is majorly controlled by the nuclear DNA. It is majorly controlled because a lot of protein of the chloroplast are basically formed by the nucleus, and then they are protein traffic mechanism. A protein traffic mechanism is involved to send the protein into the chloroplast. Now this chloroplast DNA, the entire genome was basically completed in 1986, the genome sequence, and it was of Nicotina tobacco. This was the plant whose chloroplast genetic sequence was wholly completed. Now, the core protein which the chloroplast make is basically, we know that it kind of makes the RUBISCO protein, and the 28 other photosynthetic proteins. So the chloroplast makes the RUBISCO protein and the 28 other photosynthetic protein. Rest of the all protein are basically made by the nucleus, but it has some kind of self autonomy. It has some kind of self autonomy, and the entire biophysical and biochemical reactions of the photosynthesis is basically happening in chloroplast. The entire biophysical and biochemical reactions are basically happening in chloroplast. So I hope I've basically divided uh, the plastid depending upon its morphology and function. These are the different types of plastid, and the very important fact is that we will basically discussing about the chloroplast. In my next video, I will be basically discussing about the ultrastructure of the chloroplast, and how the chlorophyll, which is basically present inside the chloroplast, came into the existence. It will be also discussed. My videos basically will be having entire discussion of the life science subjects and topics, and it sets the vitality for different competitive examination. Once you people go through my videos of 20 to 15 minutes, I'm making sure that it's not more than that, because 20 to 15 minutes of short video will help you in cracking most of the competitive exams, and this will also be helpful in knowing something in very detail. So please do like, share, and subscribe my channel, and keep motivating me, keep supporting me. जहाँ रहें, स्वस्थ रहें, स्वच्छ रहें, प्रकृति का ध्यान रखें, और please do share the video. So a question from my previous video is that who basically discussed the fusion event, who was the scientist who basically discussed the fusion event which happened in the evolutionary biology period. And the second question is that who was a very staunch proponent who basically led this into the scientific world, that the chloroplast is basically coming from cyanobacteria, and the mitochondria is basically coming from an Arabic alpha proteobacteria. So if you want to answer this question, please do watch my previous video so that you can answer this question and enjoy it. Thanks a lot. Thank you and happy learning.